Welcome, welcome. My name is Dina, and I'm so excited that you're with us today. I am so happy to have our dear friend Kirtley Freckleton joining us today. She's just saying she's ready to get started. Looks like it takes a bit to get her on screen, which is fine. So we're ready to go, Kirtley. So join us quickly here. Happy to be here. So I am with the Queen Within Consulting, and I love talking about what's possible. Hello, Sue. Welcome. So happy you're here. I love talking about what's possible in a modern marriage, in our modern marriages. I love finding out what the best morsels of research are so I can bring those forward to support you and I and everyone that we love in really bringing out the very best in our marriages. You know, learning about there's our Kirtley. She's going to be joining us. You know, like racing head on into these marriage challenges is to me just so exciting because it really indicates, or running head on is the way she put it. She's ready to be part of our video, woohoo. So we're getting Kirtley, bringing her on. And so happy to have her. She's gonna share with us her journey and really taking this whole marriage thing there she is, welcome Kirtley, so happy you're here. Welcome. Kirtley and I had an amazing conversation recently, and I just could not wait to have her on our show. This is our show called Love Your Life, Love Your Marriage, and we're going to be putting this into a podcast. So for those of you that are joining us, welcome. This is a wonderful, exciting show that really is exactly what I was describing about marriage and how we can bring out the best in the marriage. How we can really bring the best morsels of research forward to support ourselves and those that we love in really understanding ourselves as women, understanding our male counterparts, and understanding ourselves in a way of what we really want. Super excited to have Kirtley with us today. You probably read a little bit about her bio. I want to share that a little bit with you. So Kirtley is this amazing woman. She was just 12 hours away from starting divorce papers, and she was able to turn her marriage completely around. So we are just so stoked to have her with us because she now has been 6.5 years happily married. And of course, I realize ups and downs. We're going to be talking about that here. So we're so happy to have her willing to share this. She does have a dog, some trained, litter-trained rabbits. She's obviously an animal lover. She used to live on a farm with horses. She loves anything outdoors, so she's an activist for running, biking, kayaking. She's been doing a full-time RVing experience for 9 months now, so I'm sure she has some amazing stories with that one. She's a registered nurse. Development. She's a avid reader. She listens to podcasts with rough spots, but she loves making the world a better place, and I know you're going to love hearing about how she really overcome challenges and how fun it is to hear from her. So without further ado, welcome Kirtley Freckleton. Those of you that are coming on, send us some like hellos, and thank you so much for joining us. Send us some claps and welcome. So happy you're here. Let us know you're coming in by telling us where you're from, and maybe putting a wave in the chat to say hello to Kirtley. Welcome Kirtley. So yeah, where do you want to start, Kirtley?
Where do I want to start? I want to start by saying I've been married 4.5 happy years.
I appreciate you clarifying because I'm always confused on something. So thank you for getting us straightened out there. 4.5 years is no small thing. So congratulations.
We've been married. Our joke is we've been married, 6.5 years, but we would say we've been happily married for 4.5 years because the 2 years were so rough. 3 years, 3 to 3 years. The lines are fuzzy.
It's up and down, and so we kind of have those, a little bit of a roller coaster. We have our good times, we have our times that aren't so fabulous and perfect. So tell us what has you like reaching out, getting support when you're in the low times? I know you talked about how you read and did podcasts when those low times hit. Tell us a little bit about that kind of bond you got you motivated to keep going back for more.
Like what motivated me to get help when things were hard? Is that what?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's more of a mindset. It's how I live my life. If I have a problem in my life, I know that I can solve it. And so when there's a problem, I run head on to it. And there's some times where I want to shrink away and just like and run when we have really bad moments. I read a book about marriage, and they're talking about different personalities. Some people are runners, some people want to talk about it immediately. And I recognize that, yeah, sometimes I just want to get out of the house and clear my head. But in general, when I have a problem, I just want to go dig deep and think about, well, okay, how can I make this better? Because I know that I can. And for me, I saw one of my best friends got married, and she had the most amazing relationship, and they didn't even fight. And I thought that was literally impossible. And so knowing this, and I worked as a nurse, and I saw this is just so strong in my head, as I saw this couple that were so cute. They were so sweet and tender, and it really touched me. And I thought, I want to have a relationship like that. And so having that and knowing, hey, other people have had it, I can too. And so that would help me, go for it. And I remember talking to one of my friends, and I knew she had a really hard marriage, and she was nice enough to be open about it with me. And so she gave me an idea about a book that totally changed everything for me. It's called Loving What Is, by Byron Katie. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
My favorite.
But okay, yeah. And so that just helped me wake up, and then just a search like, okay, I just want to hear, if anyone has suggestions. And I know that you can't just take everyone's advice. You're going to hear something and maybe you'll try it, maybe not. Like, not everything I say is not going to work for other people, but you have to be willing to experiment and experiment. And I did that with my own weight loss, like just experiment, and then, okay, just make it into your own thing. So I knew marriage could happen like that too.
Beautiful. So I really want to commend you for that willingness to show up and like you say, try and keep finding, what's next until you got some answers, which I think is so important for the journey. It's just, hey, Marianne's back. Welcome, Marianne. We're so happy you're here. So one of the comments you made that I wanted to come back to our original conversation that I thought was such a profound reminder. And that was the friend that said everything in their marriage was at ease. There was no conflict. And I thought, wow, I'm not saying that, conflict is a bad thing or that there should be conflict either way. I am saying that, if there is conflict, that does not mean that you're in a bad mood or that things are all going to go south from here. Something I had to learn because I was like so conflict aversion, like just no conflict right there, just time no matter what. And I had to learn how to just really lean in to those moments and recognize that there's a lot that could be learned, not only from myself, but from my partner. If I was trying to more race in and face that conflict. And that's really what I loved about listening to Kirtley. She was able to take her situation head on and not like resisting that, like she just went for it and gave it everything she had. That is exactly what makes marriage go and continue to make them sustainable, is when we're really go to the mat and do whatever it takes. And whether that be, like getting rid of all the conflicts so there isn't any to the best of your ability, which is kind of like failing and kind of boring for me. But if you actually prefer having a little bit of conflict kind of stir things up, just learn something new, being a life certainly happened to me today, let alone all the other days. So I'm kind of on 30 minutes, but I still get that this is really hard. The more we embrace that, the better we'll be. So recognize that it's really okay to have it's an opportunity to grow and get better and stronger, and not something to avoid and run from, but really take on and recognize more about ourselves, learn what doesn't work, learn, what really matters to us, and how we can really show up. My sound is fading. Interesting. Thank you, Marianne. That's really good to know. Let me double check my internet real quick. Kirtley, if you want to take away for a minute and just share a little bit more of what it is that helped you navigate some of the moments that were challenging. We'd love to hear more.
Handle disagreements better, and that's been our evolution, you could say. And so I use the phrase stop, challenge, choose. And so at first I use this for eating is my reaction. So I have a sugar craving, and so I stop and I ask myself questions, and then I make the choice. And I realize why am I not doing that with a marriage? Because maybe my husband will say something, and then my first reaction is anger or defensiveness or whatever. And then so I said, okay, well, I'll do that too. So stop and just think, well, why am I feeling this way? Is it an ego thing? And that's usually always what it is my pride. And so I can walk myself through that really quickly and then respond. Because if we really work on our response, then we have a lot more power, and then things just go better when you're not just acting on child brain. And so that's a tool that's really been helping, is stop, challenge, choose before you react. And so when we have disagreements or whatever, and maybe the tension's there, I can stop and maybe laugh and just not take it so personally. And so it breaks that tension, and then we're fine. So that's been a big help there.
Stop, challenge, choose. Is that right?
Yeah.
Love that. I so witnessed that just today. I so hear you. My husband was absolutely triggering me at lunch. He was like, you were saying to me that I wasn't being present, and now you're not being present. And I was so triggered by it. I'm like, what do you mean? But just own that, like, stop, challenge myself with some questions about, wait a minute, I am not being present right now. I'm really distracted. I have a lot going on. I have to commit me before I get to my life. I've got to, be able to do all this stuff. And there's so much on my plate right now. It's all falling off. And I wasn't present at all. And he was like calling me out on it. And for me to take it personal was almost a laugh, because it's so true. It's just owning that I absolutely was not present. And yet I love showing him when he's not being present. It's just so fun how we can see it in ourselves. And so we see it in others, but it's harder to see it in ourselves. It's just.
Yep, absolutely. And sometimes after disagreements, I'd want to talk about it afterwards and say, hey, let's take this as a scientific approach. Like, let's just take it from a third person observer. And next time, what could we do different? Like, is this effective? Because we both talked about what we wanted. We were both on the same page with having a better, stronger relationship. And that helped to be able to say, okay, let's get scientific here. Because not everyone goes into depth about, okay, so our argument yesterday was really bad. So next time this happens, what should we do? Like, sometimes it's just awkward conversation, weird. But we would talk about that. And that helped us to be on the same page and feel like a team. And so when those situations happen, we were a little bit higher in awareness of, like, I could say, okay, Josh, you are triggering me and I feel this way and this way. And so, like, it just felt more like we were working together.
Wow. It's got to feel amazing. When you see those relationships where everything seems like it's just thriving all of the time, and you're like, they just get along so well and they have such an amazing life together. And we don't recognize there's all this work being done, just like you just described. Like, there's laughter, there's tears, but it's always laughter and good times. There's moments where you have to go back and say, wait a minute, what's up with this? And how come you said that? And that really hurt me. Whether that, applies or not, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's really just looking within and seeing, where was I not clear? Where did I miss the mark on that conversation? Because obviously everything went wrong because we are different. There's such a gender, men are wired differently than us. We understand each other perfectly, as women often, but we'll look at a guy and say, well, I would never do that. My friend would never do that. There's something wrong here. Have you ever experienced that, Kirtley?
Say that of wondering why your spouse did something and thinking that you would never do that. So you said,
yeah, a guy do something or say something, and you're like, I would never go there with that.
Oh, that has been a lot of conversations. I would never say something like that. And I took a course, Crucial Conversation. It's a really popular book. And one of the questions that they encourage you to ask is, why would a rational person say that or think that way? So trying to get into their shoes really helps. And that empathy, is empathy the right word there? I think it is.
Say that
so I like that. Just trying to see from their point of view. You know, like, okay, he's a rational person. Why would he say that or feel that way? Like, whenever I do something, I have a good reason for it. My motivation is always pure. And then remembering everyone's motivation to them is always pure. So trying to remember that and cooling yourself down as you try to see it from their point of view. Thank you, Brian. Only the best. Brian just brought me cold water. It's so sweet of him.
Part. Love that. Love it when people think of each other and be considerate and generous. It's so lovely.
Yeah, he's the RV park owner. He's the best.
Huh? So, Kirtley, tell me a little bit more. You talked a little bit about the divorce and how you're able to avert the divorce in just hours away from signing papers or getting them out. Tell us just a little bit about what you feel turned the world around for you and your husband.
Okay, for sure. So I had left him for 2 weeks. I just was like emotionally out of control, just so frustrated and so done. And we were seeing a therapist at that time that we both loved. She was amazing. And my dad's a lawyer, and so I knew that I could start papers and he could help me. And so we talked about, well, maybe we can start tomorrow. And so I went to my counselor that evening and I basically said, hey, like, talk me out of this. Like, is there anything I should consider before starting this? And I don't remember exactly what she said, but the message was, hey, is there a way you're reacting now that you're going to bring with you to the next relationship? And I thought, shoot. Yeah, absolutely. And so that point really turned it around for me to take full accountability and to really watch myself and think, okay, it's not just his fault that things aren't good. How can I change and change my reaction or see things? Because maybe this is just going to follow me everywhere. And so that really helped me. And we got back together and I was just full in, and we went rock bottom and just have climbed up since. That mindset shift for me.
I just want to for how much courage it takes and how much strength it takes at those moments when I call them like the dark nights of the soul. I don't know if you've ever heard that term, but it's like where you're not sure if you can continue, and it feels at that moment that it's all projected onto the other person. Like if they don't change, I just don't know. Our own, like you said, just take full accountability. Wow, there's more here for me to see that I haven't been willing to look at. It takes a lot of courage, like internal and an incredible amount of strength to be able to go, wait a minute, there's actually something here that I may be carrying forward into what's next. What if I could make that change now and not have that, ripple into the next and the next part of my life in a way that isn't serving anybody, to kind of, I don't know, what's a good way of describing that? It's kind of like you're saying, it's just knowing that we take ourselves with us is probably the best way to look at that.
Yeah. And I want to be my best self. I think that helps so much in any relationship is work on being your best self so that you're not this delicate little flower that gets so offended and explodes. Like, work on your emotional management a little, work on your fulfillment, and that helps us so much. And that definitely has helped me. And I'm not perfect. Like, I still have my moments I am so not proud of, but it's okay. It's just, that's what life is. You're constantly learning. And every time that happens, I go, great, this is more data for me and I can evaluate this and try to do better next time.
Beautiful. Well said. Well said. Well done. Hey, Marianne, I sure appreciate you being here, and I'm hoping the sound is working better. The other thing I wanted to mention was that the RVing experience. Maybe you could tell just a little tip about what it's like to live in an RV with someone in close quarters. I imagine that has its own set of challenges, and yet there's got to be tons of joy in being able to go where you want to go and have your lodgings with you, and you're just set to head on the next adventure at any moment. Tell us just a little bit about your experience with that.
For sure. So before we started, I was a little worried about it because we'll be so close. But really, our whole marriage, we've lived in small quarters and we both work from home. And so I remember one of my friends hearing that we both work from home. He goes, I could never do that. Me and my wife would kill each other. And so we've got a few years under our belt of doing that. And so that was good. But the other thing was, well, what about being so far away from family and friends and that support? But when we started, I've only seen that help and be a good thing for us. And being so close, it's just an excitement that we have of, okay, well, where are we going next? It feels like we've become even more of a team and even more on the same page. And so the other day we were talking and someone asked us, do you guys get on each other's nerves more that you're so close? And Josh, it was fun to hear Josh be like, no, like we hardly ever do. And if so, like we just laugh it off so easily now. And so for us, it's been so cool that being in those tiny quarters has just been a joy. And it's so fun to have him so close to me now and just be able to work like that. And what a big deal for us is creating rituals or traditions together. And so we're kind of like, we're pretty aware of that is, okay, well, in the mornings or maybe in the evenings, let's do this together. So we have that bonding time that we're like intentional conversation or intentional, fun things to do together. And we're not always perfect, but that helps us a lot.
So beautiful. So beautiful. So Kirtley, thank you so much for being willing to so open to share even the struggles, because so often it's like, oh, we're not going to talk about that. Let's just, it's embarrassing, right? But I think so many of us out here are looking for someone to talk about these positive moments and the things that are working. And hearing that there's challenge, but there's also, a way to overcome those challenges if we're willing to go to the mat and, really face it head on. I love that way you, the first thing I heard on that was like, yes, that is exactly who I love to hear from, because they're just such a power behind being willing to run into the fight, so to speak, instead of away from it, and being willing to go to the mat for what matters most to us. And I just want to acknowledge you for being one that's willing to do that and share your journey with us. It really means a lot to have you here on our show today. This broadcast will be pulled into a podcast soon. And again, we're super stoked about that. It's going to be a Love Your Life, Love Your Marriage podcast that'll be available for thousands of listeners. And we know that there are so many hungry ears out there ready for somebody to show up and serve them on that level and really lift them in their hour of, dark night of the still hour, or maybe that moment where it's like, I don't know if I want to keep going because everything seems to be working. I think it's just so wonderful to fill our airwaves with people that are committed and want to go, the extra mile to make things work and move through those challenges. Thank you for your generosity, your kindness, your beautiful heart, your adventurous spirit, your courage to take it on the level that you have. And thank you so much for our show today. It's truly been a privilege having you here.
You are so welcome. Thank you so much. I'm always happy to share.
So we're hoping to bring her back on. And if anyone on this broadcast, we're going to be sharing this out on all our channels. So it'll be on YouTube. It'll be available on several different platforms. Kirtley's going to be sharing. I'll be sharing. We want to make sure as many people as possible hear this amazing message. And I would invite you to share it with your loved ones, because there's surely someone in your path, whether it be a friend, a sister, a colleague, someone that could really use an encouraging message today. Perhaps they're really struggling in their marriage or with a relationship that they'd love to continue forward with, but they're not even sure how. Perhaps the perfect message that can lift their day, lift their spirits, give them the support they're looking for. So please just, again, grab the URL on this and pop it in their inbox. Often folks are looking for kind of a private message that comes through that just gives them their heart, and this is the perfect page if that's something that that calls to you. So just know this is available for all listeners that are ready to take their relationship to the next level and are, ready to look at another possibility, see something that is working, and we are excited to be able to share. So thank you for those of you that joined us. We're so happy that Marianne was able to get back on. And just know that if you are looking for additional supports, we are here for you. I'm going to be typing in the information here in the chat here about the, was it Crystal Conversations? I'll touch base on the Crystal Conversations. Great. Was that the book?
Yeah, one of the books.
Wonderful. So if you want to share maybe in the chat here the author for that as well, since I didn't catch that. And then I know the Loving What Is, because that's one of my favorites. Byron Katie being the author, she's fabulous. If there's any other resources, Kirtley, that you'd like to pop into the chat, whether it be your website or your email, anything that can help people connect with you if they feel like they'd like to talk to you further, or if there's something else, other question they have for you. I know Kirtley is a health coach, so she's absolutely available to support you in that way. And of course, she's an RN, so she has a ton of life experience to bring forward in any area that you might be looking for in related to health and otherwise. And obviously, some great stuff with relationships as well. So the other thing we wanted just to remind any of you that are interested in looking into our 8-week program coming up, we have a Love Your Life challenge coming up. For anybody that is looking for support along these lines, that wants to talk to someone that is ready to help them, exactly what we talked about, run head on into marriage challenges and win, feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to talk to you more about that. So for now, signing off here shortly. If there's any last comments that has for us, share those for us, Kirtley. It's been such a privilege having you.
Thank you so much.
Any other last comments or thoughts that we want to share? Or you're all set?
Oh yeah. Sometimes we weren't on the same page, and that was hard. I wanted it more than he did, or he wanted it more than me. And everyone's journey is different. And so I just want to give that hope. Like, you might be in a dark place for a while, and maybe it won't last that long. And maybe you'll be like, come on, let's do this together, but they just won't have it. But for us, we made it through. You got to know what you want. And finally we're more aligned. And so it's been a rocky journey for sure. And we are not perfect still. And I'm looking forward to what more we can create with our relationship. Just having the growth mindset and the learning mindset and the collecting data mindset. And some things aren't perfect. Don't think I've been married for 7 years, we should know this by now. Like, no, just decide to be a learner. And that's what is the most important thing for me, at least. So
I really appreciate that. That's an excellent note to end on. I wanted to mention that next week we have another podcast coming up. It's from Lisa Railing. She'll be joining on Thursday at this time as well next week on the same channel. So do tune in if you'd like to hear some amazing insights from her. We have a couple coming right behind her from back east. Chantal and her amazing husband are incredible. So super excited to have them coming up in about a week, and then of course 2 weeks from now we'll have the second one, and at some point we'll have 2 a week. So this is going to be a great channel. The Happy Homes and Hearts group is here for you to serve you in this capacity, and of course we'll be putting these into podcasts so that you can listen to them in the future as well. So delighted to have Kirtley with us today, and just send her off with our very best. And if there's anything we can ever do to your life better, do reach out and let us know, because we are here to serve and make lives better. That's what we're all about. Love to hear from you. So do send us a note in the chat if there's something we can do, or send us a personal message. We'd be more than happy to reach out to you personally and see what we can do to make your day better and support you in your journey. So thanks again for being here with us. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, and signing off.
Awesome. Thanks so much. It's been fun.
Thank you. It truly has. What a treat.